This is Dolynny TV, ladies and gentlemen. Good afternoon, and welcome back to another edition of Edmonton Oilers discussion here on the channel. And this is actually breaking news I've been waiting to get to, but haven't exactly wasted my time too much productively trying to get to it, I guess you could say. As Soderje of the Hockey Allsvenskan, you'd know them well. We've talked about them enough. They have seen Evan Bouchard now come and go, as Evan Bouchard is on his way as of yesterday to the Edmonton Oilers, Edmonton Oilers training camp roster. This is news that is just seeming to be breaking right now, even though it's a day old on Instagram, but I guess is what it is, and we'll talk about it now. As Evan Bouchard, I believed he was on his way earlier. I have read reports on Twitter, I guess, today as well, that Soderje's season was indeed also put on pause for the next little bit. So here is the Instagram post, as you can see by a screen grab off of Instagram by Beer League Heroes on Twitter. Evan Bouchard and Philip Gustafsson, who is the Senators' goalie prospect, have left SSK for the NHL camps, and of course Soderje holding out some hope they may one day once again see their prospect players come on back. I mean, Evan Bouchard, you never know what he future may hold in a lockout event 5, 10, 15 years down the road, but that is right there where we find Mr. Evan Bouchard on an airplane somewhere right now in the world, getting back to Edmonton, probably going through Calgary and getting things ready for what's going to be a busy season into the NHL training camp calendar and, of course, the NHL season, I guess. Sorry, phone's dinging, blasting off, and is what it is. But, yeah, so Evan Bouchard coming back, and I mean, I've seen all kinds of commentary on Twitter talking absolutely about how this guy is going to be a big part. He's going to be a huge part of the season. He'll be on the opening night roster and all of that. And I mean, we've already kind of covered that, right? We looked at the situation as it may be here. If I've got this right here. Ooh, look at that. Look who's still got the graphics just ready to go. Right there. Good job, Tyson. As the Edmonton Oilers 3 to 5 bubble defensemen, right? We were talking about 9 defensemen needed to be on the roster. Broberg, Bouchard, Legason, and Lundstrom. When it comes down to it, you can simply add it together. Is the fact that Theodore Lundstrom's in there, William Legason's in there, Evan Bouchard's in there, and yes, call it good. You've got Philip Broberg playing the World Juniors and then going back to Sweden to finish out the year and then come to us when he's ready after the season wraps up overseas. So that's kind of the situation there. But for Evan Bouchard, this is going to be a massive camp. Because I will tell you, there's about 50% of Oilers fans that are so scared this kid is a bust. There are 50% of Oilers fans, I will mark that right there as a stat, that are freaking out currently that this kid is going to end up being a bust because he has not played NHL games meaningfully since his little pro debut there when we did that right out of the draft 9 games thing. But I can tell you, Evan Bouchard is going to be just fine, and the big key here is making sure he plays over not playing when it comes down to the NHL season and, of course, the 56-game stretch. So, right, how do you do that? Well, essentially, Philip Broberg, not part of the equation. Theodore Lundstrom, probably in on the left side. So it's essentially leaving one guy up on the right side. I mean, Legason as well on the left side. And that's Evan Bouchard. If you have Barrie, Larson, or Bear go down, or you start the season without Bear, this could be the other interesting part. If the Oilers are forced to sit here and have to wait to make a trade to free up the cap space and activate and all that to get Oscar Klefbom onto the LTIR and then get Ethan Bear signed, you may be forced into a situation, and it may play to the Oilers' benefit, where you play Evan Bouchard a couple of games to start the year, whether it be 3 or 4 games compact, right? If you're playing 3 games in 5 nights kind of deal, as I don't know why my phone's going off. That's bing, bang, boom, lighting me up. But right, is there are possibilities where Evan Bouchard could play early and often in the NHL season without straight out having to beat out Bear, Barry, or Larson for a spot on the right side. And you are kidding me if you think that Evan Bouchard is going to play on the left side when you've got Jones, you've got Nurse, and you've got Russell, who, why would you sit Russell at $4 million and sit here and not use him when you don't have a true veteran on the left side? So that's the interesting part there for the Oilers, is making the roster math work, and how committed Dave Tippett will be keeping his lefty-righty matchups together. And I mean, I think it's Dave Tippett. He will continue to do that. But if you end up seeing Barry playing with, say, I don't know, Barry playing with Larson or something, then suddenly, yeah, you have Nurse Bear and you have Caleb Jones in there. Well, now you maybe have Evan Bouchard on the right side instead of Chris Russell, and they switch half the games. And I mean, once an injury happens, who really knows what happens? But I guess what ends up needing to happen before any of that can happen, a lot of happening here going on today, is the fact that Evan Bouchard has to come in now that he's on an airplane, right? It's been a day ago since this Instagram post was posted, but now that he'll get on an airplane, be here by Monday, he'll be in Edmonton by Monday, at bare minimum, gone through Calgary, cross-border quality quarantine rules and stuff through the Calgary airport. He'll be cleared to play sometime Thursday, Friday this week, and then suddenly he's back practicing with the Oilers this time next weekend. And then suddenly, right, that's way ahead of schedule, and he's been recalled from the loan, and yada, yada, yada. Evan Bouchard ready to go for a big training camp with the Oilers. That's going to have to see him go from here to here in terms of getting that roster spot. And what we've seen in Soderger is pretty good. I'd say what we got out of him in Soderger, we can be very happy with. He took the time to work on his defensive game. He took the time to work on everything. He had a good amount of points there. I think it was like something like 17 or 18 points with Soderger, 6 goals, 11 assists, I want to say. But right, is it those numbers don't matter anything if Evan Bouchard's not going to be capable of a defender at the third tier of defensemen in the NHL, right, on our third pair. I don't think you're going to sit here and say Evan Bouchard should be the Edmonton Oilers' number one right defenseman right out of the gate to start this year after missing a season in the NHL since last playing games back in, 2018 at the NHL level. The game's changed a little bit, I'm sure, so it would be nice to get Evan Bouchard some quality time in a 12, 14-minute a night role before sitting here and telling Oilers fans, yeah, this is our guy, he's going to play 25 minutes a night. Because honestly, if you think that's going to happen this year, I mean, that would be an insane, wicked, awesome development curve for Evan Bouchard, but we cannot be sitting here expecting that to happen and being, hoping, I guess, that happens, because again, that solves no problem that the Oilers have had before, right? Is forcing a young rookie right-hand shot defenseman to be the end-all be-all to solve our problems. Bad idea, doesn't work, don't do it, don't allow it to happen if you're Dave Tippett. That's all I got to say on that. Ladies and gentlemen, Evan Bouchard's on his way back to Edmonton. The season is getting that much closer. We are a week from an NHL vote. Hopefully that is predicted date Friday next week, the 18th, for when the NHL votes and the NHLPA votes to get the season underway January 13th. I'm Tyson, this is Dolynny TV. Thank you so much for tuning in. I will catch you in the next one.